Oral questions. Question orale. L'honorable député de...
The honourable member for Louise Saint-Laurent.
Monsieur le Président, cette semaine...
Mr. Speaker, this week there were 3 shootings in 3 days in Laval in residential neighborhoods. This could have ended very badly for families. And what the police are telling us is that this was about street gangs using illegal weapons. We know that shortly there will be new measures from this government on firearms. Can this government tell us how these new measures will reduce the crimes committed by street gangs and illegal weapons? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are always disturbed when we hear of people who have lost their lives to gun violence. In fact, the burden of injury from gun violence is something that is of a concern. It's a public health concern to all Canadians. Our approach to firearms is one of common sense safety measures. And these measures that were introduced this week will keep firearms out of the hands of criminals, codify businesses, due diligence practices, and support law enforcement in tracing efforts. It's another tool in our arsenal to keep communities safe, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de Louise Saint-Laurent.
The honourable member for Louise Saint-Laurent. Well, Mr. Speaker, none of that is true. The new measures that will start on May 18th will directly attack law-abiding businesses and firearms owners. And yes, there are many of those, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, this government is not attacking the real criminals, street gangs, and the users of illegal weapons. Why is this government once again bothering law-abiding firearms owners and not doing something about real crime?
Speaker, and our government is firmly committed to building safer communities. To reduce gun crime, we must address the social conditions that lead youth to join gangs. That's why we're working closely with municipalities in Quebec and across the country and Indigenous communities to provide $250 million over 5 years to bolster gang prevention and intervention program. And I would remind Conservatives that when we studied Bill C-71, they put forward amendments that would have removed punishment for making a false statement to provide a license, tampering with licenses, unauthorized possession of ammunition, and more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Opposition House Leader for the Official Opposition.
Yesterday, a 17-year-old was shot in the Liberal-held riding of Don Valley East in the parking lot of Victoria Park Collegiate. Instead of dealing with the real problem infesting the streets of Liberal-held ridings, gang and criminal illegal handgun use, these Liberals would rather engage in cheap political stunts by attacking duck and deer hunters to make it look like they're doing something when in fact they're solving nothing. Why won't Liberal MPs act as emboldened as the gangs and the criminals in their ridings and go after those who are shooting up their streets with illegal handguns?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And rather than playing political games around gun violence, we're taking concrete action to keep communities safe, to keep the citizens of Canada safe, and taking a comprehensive approach to firearms, one that includes investing in communities, investing in housing, investing in ensuring that guns are not crossing the border by investing in CBSA, investing in cuts that the Conservatives, when they were in government, they cut CBSA. We've reinvested to keep the guns from coming into Canada.
That's right. The Honourable House Leader for the Official Opposition.
This week, a shooting happened in the Liberal-held riding of St. Catharines during a jewelry store robbery. The pattern of gun crime in Liberal ridings has nothing to do with farmers, hunters, sports shooters, or collectors, or scary military assault weapons. It's gangs, criminals, and illegal handguns. Even with clear evidence of illegal handgun shootings in their ridings, Liberals, including the MP from St. Catharines, spread disinformation on what the real cause of gun crime is in this country. Why are Liberals spreading disinformation when it comes to the real cause of gun crime in Canada? And worse yet, why are they doing nothing to solve the problem?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this is the 4th time I've stood up here and been accused of doing nothing. And I take great offence to the fact that this government is taking concrete steps that will actually make a difference to keep Canadians safe, rather than playing politics on the issue of guns and just parroting the lines that they get from the gun lobby.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Louis-Saint-Laurent. Mr. Speaker, on a different topic, the Indigenous community of Wendake that I represent is encircled by Quebec City. But, according to Canada Post, its postal code identifies Wendake as being in a remote sector, which means that it's 30% more expensive for mail and insurance. It's unfair and ridiculous. So my question, does the Minister realize that this makes no sense and that we need to fix this at once? The Honourable Minister. Well, I would like to rectify what my colleague said. He said I was in charge of First Nations, but I serve First Nations, Mr. Speaker. Well, my colleague is right. Now we know that Indigenous communities that used to be in rural regions now aren't because of urban sprawl. And so I hope that Canada Post, which is an independent agency, will fix the situation, and I will speak to those responsible. The Honourable Member for Manicouagan. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister refuses to close Roxham Road, saying that it's not the right solution and irregular migrants would just take a different route. Well, yes, they would. They would use border crossings. That's what they used to do before the Safe Third Country Agreement. If the Prime Minister were to suspend the agreement, which he can do unilaterally, migrants could take any border crossing instead of coming across country roads. It would be simple, safe, and humane. When will the federal government suspend the agreement and close Roxham Road? The Honourable Minister for Immigration. Mr. Speaker, we need a robust system for asylum seekers. There is no magic bullet solution. Closing Roxham Road would simply move the problem to a new location. What we need to do is modernize the Safe Third Country Agreement, and that's what we're doing, working with the United States on a sustainable solution. The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, that is the problem. There is a vast border, and people can take any location to cross, but they should cross at border crossings. And suspending the Safe Third Country Agreement would enable this to happen. It would redirect migrants to the 117 border crossings in Canada instead of concentrating them at Roxham Road at a rate of 92%. This weekend, the number of irregular arrivals may increase sharply. The Minister should not continue to do nothing. He could suspend the agreement and close Roxham Road. Will he take action? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, our government has always shown its commitment towards the most vulnerable people in the world. We will continue to work closely with Quebec and ensure that our national and international obligations to refugees are respected, while also protecting Canadian safety and security. We are aware that there has been an increase in the number of arrivals since the decrease in COVID measures, and we will work closely with the CPSA to ensure that the border remains safe. Thank you.
Member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, after 5 years of my community demanding that the federal government transfer Ojibwe shores from the Windsor Port to Parks Canada, they finally acknowledged that they could do this right away. We all know that this was in anticipation of the vote on my private member's bill to establish Ojibwe National Urban Park, which the City of Windsor and Caldwell First Nations support and want this to take place. Will this government